go drop like rain, nigga, watch me hit those trees.
Yo, how's it hanging, troops? We have made it to the halfway point, but we still got a real trek on our hands for the foreseeable future, so let's not waste time or energy and get right down to it. But just real quick, I got one thing to do. Shout out to the Choji, Sonic, Dr. DJ, Minnow Man, Flya, I'm just gonna call you HGF, and My Life for Hire. These are your heroes. Worship them blindly. Now, on to the Sasuke retrieval arc. We pick back up with Tsunade found, returned, and installed as the 5th Hokage, and her priority is to get the village back on its feet since it's still feeling the effects of the Konoha Crush. And it's probably been a few weeks, maybe a month in world since that happened, and it really does not feel like it. The search for Tsunade arc was chock full of stuff, and the filler in between made it even worse, to the point where when we check up on Sasuke, he's healed and still in the hospital thinking about his encounter with Itachi and reeling about Naruto. And if you didn't watch the filler, you're met with scenes of a story that never happened, so not only does it feel like Sasuke's stewing on something that happened months ago, he's literally imagining things and growling at the sound of Naruto's voice. Like, bro, why are you so mad? And of course in the manga it feels a bit more timely and there's no filler, but the Sannin thing in between Itachi sweeping Sasuke and now was a lot. Even though in universe it was like 2 days, and from Sasuke's point of view, his Itachi encounter happened less than a few days ago, so in total he was probably in the hospital for like a week. But it's at this point we momentarily set our sights on my guy Orochimaru, and he sends the Sound 4 to the Leaf with the mission of escorting Sasuke back to him. And in reality, this was a crazy gamble that just so happened to work out, because even if he's sure Sasuke will come willingly, the Sound 4 were just in the village helping you kill the Hokage. Sending them back is not a good idea, but whatever. We jump back to the Leaf and the spotlight is on Lee and his doubts about the surgery Tsunade is going to do to reverse the damage he sustained all the way back in the preliminaries of the Chunin exams, and I'm not really sure how I feel about this because I really do like that Lee got the attention here, and his later feats are dope, and I don't think they shouldn't have happened necessarily. I just feel like his recovery is insanely too quick, and the fact that he still becomes a super high level ninja just doesn't sit right with me. He doesn't need to die, and the surgery makes perfect sense, but I feel like this should have been Lee's benching moment, at least for the first half of the series. He shouldn't have been doing anything until after the time skip, but because he basically disappears into the war arc and then is barely there, I'll let it slide. We then cut back to Sasuke in the hospital just being the worst kind of person, and of course Sakura doesn't care, and if you like Sakura, cool, but if you think that anything she does in this arc is acceptable, you're wrong. But who cares about her? Cause Naruto notices this and gives Sasuke the benefit of the doubt the first time, you know, just being nice, don't want to have to smack you over nothing. But then it happens again, and now Naruto's like, okay, what's up pimpin', where you taking it? And like a recently comatose idiot, Sasuke says the roof, which again, from Sasuke's point of view, he just survived a fight with Itachi days ago, so to his credit, he probably really thinks he can beat Naruto. But what he doesn't know, because he was just in a coma, is that Naruto fought and beat a no longer faking weak Kabuto in place of a shaky Tsunade. And even a shaky Tsunade is one touch deleting a hospitalized just woke up Sasuke. But again, whatever, it's your world, King. And from the moment they step on the roof, it's clear this isn't the dynamic we're used to with these two, cause Sasuke's sick burns are no longer working. In fact, Naruto kinda clowns on Sasuke here. And the fight is just as bad. Like, Sasuke doesn't have the upper hand once. Naruto's taijutsu is on par, his ninjutsu hits harder, and he somehow became immune to fire. But hey, they did it. They made it happen. This is where the hype for the Chidori vs Rasengan maxes out, and it stays maxed out until the Valley of the End. And the way Kakashi comes in and diverts both attacks is perfect. And I guess we have Sakura to thank for that, since she runs in between those attacks like a doink. And I'll give it to her, cause very soon she's gonna get her moment, let me tell you. But directly after Naruto and Sasuke's rooftop battle, Kakashi and Jiraiya exchange words and kinda go in on each other for teaching kids such dangerous moves. And this is the second time Kakashi's done this, the first time being with Guy, and that's hilarious considering all three of these people knew and used deadly techniques in a war around the same age. But after their chat, Kakashi finds Sasuke and gives him a very vague adult, clearly not thinking this is serious speech. And what I mean by that is, the way Kakashi is talking down to Sasuke and telling him to grow up is probably the straw that broke the camel's back for Sasuke, because Kakashi at this point is his only authority figure. And hearing him act as if what Sasuke's feeling and going through is nothing, everybody goes through it, so get over it, probably made Sasuke feel like there was no real love to be had in the village. And if that's the case, why not go to Orochimaru? So he had probably already decided to go before the Sound 4 showed up. But the Sound 4 do eventually show up, and Sasuke's moody attitude meeting the 4 starts a little scuffle. And I say little with air quotes around it because they make enough noise to the point you'd think a whole squad of Anbu would show up. They even damage a building, but nothing happens. In fact, it's almost implied they either went home with Sasuke so he could pack, or just went and waited at the village entrance for him. And here's where I'm really going to try and keep it tight and concise, because I don't want to bash Sakura, but this is the start of the reason I dislike Sakura. First of all, she takes Naruto out to talk about Sasuke. Already that's crazy. But then she kinda ignores him the whole time, then just slips away, and for whatever reason, she meets Sasuke as he's leaving the village, and the begging, the crying, the way Sasuke is completely dubbing her and she's standing there screaming at him, it's genuinely an uncomfortable scene, and I physically cringe every time I see it. And I know that sounds like overkill, but hear me out. Sakura's only interest in the entire series is Sasuke. She barely has hobbies, her closest friend is actually her biggest enemy, and I'd say rival, but I don't think that does justice for her and Ino's relationship. Like, they're friendly, but they haven't really been friends since the academy, and the only reason she became a better and better ninja was to stay close to Sasuke. And I just don't think that her life outside of Sasuke was conveyed very well at all. Like, if we had seen Sakura doing more training and fighting, just living in general without the context of Sasuke, I think I could have sat with this scene a lot better. But it's just gross that this is one of the few big moments she has throughout the series. And I'm gonna say this here so I can just reference it later. Sasuke leaves in the dead of night. The only reason a squad is sent out in a timely manner is because 2 ninja guards see her passed out on a bench well into the morning. Had they not seen her and Sakura woke up on her own, I have no doubt in my mind she would have ran to Naruto and told him first, and Naruto would have bolted out alone, guaranteeing Sasuke's escape. But because they do see her and wake her up, she explains what happened to Tsunade, and Tsunade calls in the only person from the Chunin exams to become a Chunin, Shikamaru. And Tsunade gives Shikamaru the mission to gather a team and go retrieve Sasuke. And she recommends Naruto, which was actually a good idea because had she not, if Naruto found out what was going on, he'd bolt off alone. So Shikamaru grabs Naruto, Kiba, Choji, and on the way out of the village, sees Neji and a just out of surgery Lee, who cannot climb steps on his own. And Lee just being out of surgery will be important later. But with Lee still out of commission, the team pick up Neji and head to the Leaf Village gate. Meanwhile, we check in with Sasuke and the sound team to see that they've stopped momentarily, and they basically tell Sasuke he has to take a pill and get in a box and die. And I'm no detective, but that seems sketchy as all hell. But Sasuke still does it, and now he's dead in a box. And this is a one-time thing, so they never really explain exactly what this process was or why it was necessary. But as they got back on track, they're stopped by 2 Jonin, Genma and Raido. And I'd like to believe that these were average Jonin, not on Kakashi or Guy's level, and they do pretty well up until the point where the sound go into their curse mark stage 2, and the sound are still panting and sweating after, although that's mostly from the fatigue of stage 2, but this coupled with the stop earlier to stuff Sasuke in the trunk allows our retrieval squad to get a plan going and catch up and execute. They catch the Sound 4 in a shadow possession, and that plan goes well for about 2 seconds before the curse mark shows up again, and allows the Sound to break free from that shadow possession. And Jirobo catches the entire Leaf team in an Earth Dome, and the other Sound members go on ahead, giving us our first indication that as full teams, their matchup is probably lopsided. and mostly in favor of the sound just because of teamwork and the fact that individually they all underestimated their single opponents. But back with the trapped Leaf Squad, Neji realizes that the Earth Dome is draining everyone's chakra and tells Shikamaru if he's in charge, he better figure something out. And so that's exactly what Shikamaru does. And let's talk about this for a second. I don't think Shikamaru is that smart upon rewatch. He's way more of an outside-the-box thinker than a high IQ genius. Even in the Chunin exams, it's never stated that Shikamaru knew any of the answers to the test, and we'll get to it, but Kidomaru shows a way higher IQ in the one fight he has than Shikamaru shows throughout all of Naruto. But I digress. Shikamaru does a whole flip-flop routine to figure out where Jirobo is, and Choji busts them out the other side of the dome. And with that, we get a little group scuffle where Jirobo takes on the Leaf group alone and holds his own to the point where they have to leave someone behind or they won't catch up to Sasuke again. And this is why I mentioned the time frame back when Sakura tried to stop Sasuke. That was a whole night basically, and this was an hour at the most. And to get even more inconsistent, Neji uses the Byakugan at the start of the pursuit and could clearly see them as far away as they were. And now with this short distance between them, Neji can't see them anymore. That makes no sense. But Choji volunteers to stay back because Jirobo has been talking real greasily about Shikamaru, and Choji can't let that slide. So the others go on without Choji, and here's where I get to talk about each fight individually. First off, Choji has these green, yellow, and red food pills that respectively up his power more and more, and off the rip he eats the green one, which checks out. If Jirobo was giving it to the whole group, there's no way Choji in base could even stand a chance, and there's not a ton of fighting done here. Choji just eats a pill, they kinda clash, it's not enough. He eats another pill, Jirobo goes second stage and it's not enough, until Choji eats the last pill. Most of this fight is Jirobo talking down on Choji and by extension Shikamaru, and even as a small child you can tell it's ironic that he's talking to Choji like he's the weakest link and that's why his friends went on without him, yada yada yada. And I don't want to be overly critical of this because it doesn't really mean anything, but the last chip thing is super lame, and they should have just stuck with Choji defending his friend's honor. Butterfly mode is stupid dope though, but I'd be remiss not to mention that the final blow is Choji bare hand punching Jirobo with enough strength to uproot trees in the surrounding area, and then watching the life leave his body. It's one of the most subtly brutal scenes in Naruto, and I don't think Choji gets enough credit for it, cause this blow is heavier than my life is an insane one-liner. But of course, because he artificially amped his power to the max, he's slated to move from this mortal plane. And the first time I watched this, I really thought he was done. But with his fight over, I have to say, I might get flamed for this, but I'm more okay with Choji living than I am Lee. And I'll talk about it more at the end, but this arc should have been way darker than it was. So linking back up with the rest of the retrieval squad, because the remaining members of the Sound don't think Jirobo will have a hard time with the Leaf Gang, Shikamaru devises a plan to transform into Jirobo and have the Sound hand him Sasuke willingly. But that goes pretty bad instantly, and you'd think with his high IQ, Shikamaru would have known that that wasn't a viable plan just for the simple fact they know nothing about the enemy. They didn't stick around for Choji's fight, so they don't even know what Jirobo's techniques are. And Kidomaru almost kills them all at once. And this time Neji decides to stay back as, from his assessment, he's the only one who even has a chance against Kidomaru. And he's completely right, since from what he shows in this fight, Kidomaru would have outsmarted Shikamaru, just completely dogged Kiba, and would have killed Naruto before he ever got the chance to get help from Kurama. And this, unlike the other scuffles we see, is much more of a battle than it is a fight, if you get what I mean. Like, it's not a back and forth. Kidomaru is constantly attacking Neji up until the point where he thinks he's won and Neji himself is giving up and what he thinks is sacrificing himself. And even then, what Neji does, I would hardly call an attack. I'd say it was a counter move at best, but that slight counter move is all it takes to kill Kidomaru. And I still wouldn't say Neji won. He lived, so he had a better outcome, but as a fight, that wasn't even really a draw because Neji had already thrown his life out the window to get off the one maneuver that had any effect on Kimimaro. Side note, Spider Summon is gross, and Kimimaro had 6 arms. Real, not jutsu related arms, and I assume they come from the curse mark, but that's it, that's all I got for that. Something that I do want to mention here though is that before the group splits off from Neji makes it explicitly clear that he fully understands Sasuke went willingly, whereas Naruto for some reason, after being told the situation, still is acting like he has to save Sasuke, which wouldn't have been a huge problem had he not already asked Sakura if Sasuke turned his back on her, but that's not too glaring, so I'll leave it at that. Also, Naruto says Neji can win cause he's a genius. Excuse me, what? Neji lost to Naruto in one punch when he should have seen him coming or at least been able to react to that one punch. And Naruto is constantly having to be told basic things, so I can't even take what he's saying here serious because how would he know? It's an infinite stupid loop. But with Neji's battle over, we pick back up at Orochimaru's hideout where the 5th member of the sound group Kimimaro is introduced and Kabuto gaslights him into hitting the field and bringing Sasuke back. Even though the reason he didn't go on this mission nor was he present for the Konoha Crush plot is because he is terminally ill and is basically already dead. But his will to please Orochimaru is so strong he gets up and heads out. Cut back to the last 3 members of the Leaf Squad catching up to the remaining 2 of the Sound, and a little trickery ensues that allows the Leaf to gain possession of Sasuke's coffin, who at this point really ought to be dead the way everyone is tossing and tumbling this box he's in, and instantly my first thought was, this is the perfect time for a reverse summoning. It would have made all the sense and would have ended the pursuit right there, but that's too easy. Almost as easy as the forced death. Go check out that video after you're done here. Remember to subscribe and leave a like. But it's all of 5 seconds that the Leaf has Sasuke, because Kimimaro drops in and just dukes on everybody there, even his own guys. And then he dips out of there. Kiba lures Sakon and Ukon off, and Shikamaru distracts Tayuya so Naruto can pursue Kimimaro. And I'm still going to talk about some of these fights individually, but all 3 of these fights are happening at the same time, so unlike Choji and Neji's fights, they all have to share screen time. But because we're building up to something and getting close for momentum purposes, it makes sense. And I want to talk about Shikamaru's and Kiba's together just because they intertwine the most. First, I think Kiba and Shikamaru should have switched opponents because the way that these guys get clowned on in these fights is bad. And I think Shikamaru would have fared better against 2 opponents using a specialized jutsu, and I think Kiba would have looked and done a lot better with an opponent using what is essentially brute strength. And I definitely can see Kiba figuring a way out of Tayuya's genjutsu, because all it took for Shikamaru was to break his finger, which is still gnarly, don't get me wrong, but Kiba had to stab himself to get Sakon out of his body. So it's about the same. But as Naruto catches up to Kimimaro and they have a slight scuffle, Lee shows up to allow Naruto to go ahead after Sasuke. So now I want to talk about Lee and Kimimaro, and specifically how, just a day and a half before this, Lee couldn't go upstairs on his own, and now is fighting the strongest member of Orochimaru's strongest team, and he's not landing any substantial hits. He's not really landing any hits at all, and as a matter of fact, Kimimaro isn't really fighting. He's just confusedly attacking what I assume he assumes is a special needs ninja. And that's before Lee gets drunk. And drunk Lee is always pleasant to watch, but it's a novel fighting style and doesn't do much. But just like Kiba and Shikamaru, Lee is outclassed and on the verge of a fatal loss when the Sand Trio show up and Kankuro and Temari one-shot their opponents. And Gar has a bit of a tougher time, but I stand by the fact that this fight makes Gar look way weaker than he is. And Kimimaru's heart should have stopped before he makes that last move, because that makes it look like Kimimaro had the upper hand and just died, but he was already on borrowed time, and killing Gar wouldn't have ensured Sasuke made it to Orochimaru. Kimimaro was there to give Sasuke space to go ahead, and that's what he did. So he can survive all the way past the giant sand burial, but once he survives that and starts wigging out underground, he should not have made it above ground after that. And before I talk about Naruto versus Sasuke, I want to talk about Naruto versus Kimimaro, because Naruto shows up foxed out, and Kimimaro does not bat an eye, and even starts giving Naruto the business. No curse mark. Remember, this is a terminal patient with no medical supplies. And Naruto, ever so slightly amped by the Nine Tails, is drowning. He is not doing good. In fact, I bet the reason Kimimaro didn't kill him immediately is because Naruto kinda reminded him of Jugo. And had this battle went on longer, Naruto would have died the moment Kimimaro felt an ounce of danger. And I say all that as a setup for something later in the climactic final battle between Naruto and Sasuke, but with all the other fights wrapped up, we narrow our focus to Naruto hot on the heels of Sasuke, and he finally catches up, right at the Valley of the End, which is supposedly like right at the border of the Land of Fire. And I wonder if that means Madara was leaving the whole Land of Fire as opposed to just leaving the Leaf Village. But tangents aside, when Naruto does catch up with Sasuke, they exchange some words, and Naruto throws the first punch, and so it begins. Now, I'm not going to talk about every single little aspect of the fight. We've all seen it countless times. Some of those times it was set to Linkin Park or Evanescence, but I don't need to tell you about the Golden Age. We were all there. And these first punches thrown fully set the tone for everything to come after it. Naruto's punch is firm and powerful, but not a murderous blow, whereas Sasuke's punch is aimed to do as much damage as possible in hopes of killing Naruto and sends him flying. And that rings true for pretty much the entire fight. See, at no point in this fight are Naruto and Sasuke even. There's always a curve one has that the other has to overcome. And I notice Sasuke relies more on his ninjutsu while Naruto sticks closely to his taijutsu style. And while they both do a little bit of both, it's very clear Naruto is the physical strength while Sasuke is the special strength. And that can be seen all over the fight. Naruto has the most crazy physical hits, while Sasuke gets more hits. They feel way weaker than Naruto's. And this fight does not truly begin until Sasuke mentions that Naruto was his closest friend. But I kid you not, from the first punch Naruto throws to the actual fight where it's the focus of the episode, there are 3 episodes of just flashbacks. There's maybe 5 minutes of fight split between the beginning and the end of these episodes. And yeah, most of it is new context and insight into Sasuke, but couldn't that have been done right before or during the time skip instead of having 3 full seasons of filler right after this? Either way, at this point Kakashi has returned to the Leaf after his mission and is informed of the situation by Tsunade, and bolts off alone to get Naruto and Sasuke before something terrible happens. And cutting back to Naruto and Sasuke, who at this point have exchanged some blows, waste no time in pulling out their power moves. And we get our first Rasengan Chidori clash, which is dope, and on impact it explodes like a regular bomb. Now keep that in mind because I have a little mini theory I want to address in a little bit. But just to mention something here real quick, apparently Kakashi never told Sasuke that the Chidori was an offshoot of the Rasengan and that its non-nature can sort of neutralize the Chidori. So Sasuke activates his curse mark, and something I always wondered is why Sasuke went straight to the curse mark here instead of his Sharingan first. He even says the curse mark takes way more chakra, so to bust that out as a first option, it doesn't make any sense. But Naruto gets kicked around for a bit before Sasuke decides it's time to end it. He revs up another Chidori and slams it through Naruto's chest. However, Naruto does not take kindly to this, and he gets the biggest QB amp we've seen up to this point and proceeds to just put hands, feet, arms, legs, head, shoulders, knees, and toes all over Sasuke. And I should note, the animation quality jumps significantly here, and it's well welcomed because we got Naruto primal screaming and scaring the shit out of Sasuke, and I kid you not, these two 12-year-olds just start throwing each other into stone cliffs and reforming them with crashing impacts and flaming explosions, but they are far from hurt and fight even harder after all of that. So with that being said, we are officially watching 2 Jonin level fighters here. I don't even know how you could argue they aren't at this point. But as the fight goes on, Sasuke gains his third Tomoe, and it seems like that's a bigger amp than the first stage curse mark, because now Sasuke has the upper hand. Although he's still not hitting Naruto anywhere near as hard as Naruto is hitting him. And this surprised me because I thought this fight was longer, but Sasuke activates the second stage of his curse mark and grows hand wings, while Naruto, who has been looking like he was experiencing pain from the Kurama chakra this entire time, watches in awe. And as we come into the final stretch, the two begin to charge up their final attacks, and this is where I want to talk about that theory I mentioned. Remember how I said the regular Chidori Rasengan clash ended in a regular explosion? Well, this last clash does not, and I think I know why, so follow me now. Sasuke is charging his Chidori and is amped by his curse mark, which is powered by nature energy, and gives it a shimmery black and white appearance. Whereas Naruto's Rasengan is being amped by the tail beast chakra and has a purple coloring to it, almost like a tail beast bone. So what I'm theorizing here is that the meeting of nature energy and tail beast chakra sort of simulated Hagoromo's or Kaguya's energy and made an unstable truth-seeking orb, which is why it expanded and exploded the way it did. But before it did that, on the inside of the orb, we see Sasuke and Naruto each make one last move. Sasuke punches Naruto in the gut, and Naruto, using only his elongated nails, slashes through Sasuke's headband like it's butter, which is incredible, but it does not win him the fight. And as he lays there unconscious, Sasuke shuffles off to Orochimaru, and Kakashi, who arrives just too late, sees what happened and picks Naruto up to take him back home to the Leaf. But before he does, he has this deep little talk with Pakun that I thought was just kind of funny, and they head back to the Leaf. Once we're back at the Leaf, we see the aftermath of the mission, and I just want to say, the way they fix Neji looks more like dark magic than medical ninjutsu. And I cry anytime Shikamaru cries. So, with all of that wrapped up in the books, after 3 seasons of filler, Jiraiya decides to take Naruto on a 3-year journey, where he'll train him and get him ready to take on the Akatsuki. And that's where the time skip happens. So, now that we've run down the first half of the series, let me just talk about a few recurring things that pop up as I'm writing these revisitations. First off, I wrote as a note on every arc video up till this one, that being a shinobi is a job. And of course that's not news to you, but have you ever thought about the fact that these are children, and with the exception of 2, all of them live with their parents, so why would they need a job? And if you want them to have a job, does it have to be soldier? And second, I may have already said this, but I can't stress it enough. The anime makes Sasuke look crazy. Like the things he harps on in the moments he decides to tip the scale more to antagonist than an actual person. Like, why are you making him evil laugh like that? Wouldn't that be something damn near right out of Itachi's book? And the way he decides after the Valley of the End fight, oh no, I won't abide by everything you say, Itachi. It's like, okay, but my brother, you left your quote-unquote best friend for dead, almost killing him after full-on trying to kill him. You can't get fired and then say I quit. I mean, you can, but you'll look nuts for doing that. And lastly, I do have a time skip video planned, so be on the lookout for that. I really appreciate you guys watching the video, and I'd be a fool not to remind you that if you like the video, leave a like. If you like the content I make, subscribe and hit the bell, because there's more to come. And if you wanted to throw your takes in the ring and have a discussion, leave a comment down below. I've been Open World Mino, and until next time, peace.
That thunder on me clap, make a nigga think before he act. Have a nigga dying on his back, then we double back. Shooters leaving rubble where you at. That's why niggas never wanna match.